everybody. Welcome to The Joy of Posting with me, your host, Rachel Jane Andelman. Every week I do this show, and then every week I'm about to do this show, and I think, wow, just an hour of basically unplanned activity. I do one thing over and over, and it's people like it, or that's the hope. That's the dream, really. So welcome to the show. You may know me from Twitter. I also live in Massachusetts in real life, next to a pond. That's where I am. I'm in my house. And we're going to do some joke writing. I keep saying every episode I'm going to get two screens. Until then, I'm just going to check out my phone. That's how I check the chat. I think that if this is your first episode, you'll find that I'm extremely receptive to chat messages. I tend to read them out loud, and I tend to read most of them. This may be a way to distinguish myself from the other shows. Just checking now. I'm up to 9. Very nice. Hello, Maya. Hello, other David Thomas. And hello, anyone else who may be in the chat or watching me. I currently have 9 viewers. Pretty cool. 9 is a great number. It is a multiple of 3. And so it just has a beautiful 3 times 3. It's just a very beautiful, it's a beautiful shape. It's a beautiful shape a number can take. Hello, Tara. Hello, Kenny. Hello, everybody. How is everyone? Cool. So, trying to think of anything I need to tell you before I get started. This is a show where I write jokes. I write jokes specifically for the internet, even more specifically for Twitter. Twitter, I think, is the platform where jokes live the best. And as bad as Twitter can be, I find it is the best place I have found to hone my craft of joke writing and to get my jokes out to people. I just passed the 11,000 follower mark the other day. That was very sweet of people to follow me. And that's something to feel good about, that people enjoy my internet presence, when that is mostly the kind of presence I can evince into the world. Hello, everyone. Hello. Butts, little butts. Just a fun fact, I did everything today except charge my phone. So if my phone dies, I may run to get the charger, or else may find another option. Cool. So the last couple of weeks, I've tried to do the show by a rough theme. I've tried to make sort of spooky jokes the theme. The first week, like 2 weeks ago, I tried to make sort of like, I call them like thrift store Halloween humor, where I tried to focus in on the most kitschiest part of the holiday. There's like a significantly kitsch aspect to Halloween. And last week I tried to do a lot of like, as much as I could, think of kind of more like gothic horror types of jokes, using a lot of the gothic horror tropes as premises that we could then bounce off of. And this week, I thought it might be fun to play with some body horror jokes. If you've ever seen a Total Recall, where there's like the baby in the stomach, woman is a robot, it kind of explodes. There's a lot of cool stuff, and I tend to find it sort of very Halloween-y, even in like even if it's meant for a particular genre like fantasy or science fiction. I find body horror to fit comfortably within kind of the Halloween mythos. Loaf the Wonder Bread, hello to you. Thank you for congratulating me. Butts Little Butt says, yeah, body horror, baby. I'm a big fan of body horror. I think body horror is a very relatable type of horror because of the fact that we are all in our own flesh prisons. It's very rare to run into someone who's like, well, I don't get that fear of physical death because, I uploaded myself into the computer the other day and now I have no form and now I don't really like get those types of jokes. That's pretty rare to run into someone like that. Yeah, Cronenberg, VCR in the stomach, all hail a new flesh. I'm into it. I wrote a paper on that. I can't even remember the name of it now. The Cronenberg with James Woods, and his body like turns all funky. Me in the mirror, am I right? David Thomas is the king of self-deprecating jokes, which is so weird because he's such a lovely person, and he should have more ego because he's so good and hardworking and funny. So that's just my personal opinion on David Thomas, if you know him. Yeah, let's get to joke writing, you guys. I see your comments in front of me for as long as my battery holds out. And let's do some joke writing. You may have noticed I've blown up the screen very big so that you guys can see the words as I type them. I assume some or all of you are on phones because that's how I tend to watch Twitch shows. My friend Kenny had a Twitch show earlier. He made music. He made an amazing song. You can find that on, if you go to Kenny Gray, I think it's Kenny Gray 3 on Twitter. You can listen to his song that he made in a single 2-hour session today. I watched that show while I was actually walking my dog in the woods. I had it on my phone. I was walking my dog, watching the Twitch stream on my phone. So that's how. That's I think a perfectly valid way of watching a Twitch stream. If you hear my dog barking, I'm very sorry. Kenny Gray says it's great if you like hearing a loop for 2 hours. The thing about that show, if I can, one part of my process is procrastinating and not doing the thing I'm here to do, and I think that's an important part of writing in general, and particularly joke writing. So this is all part of the show. Is that Kenny will sort of throw off a phrase like chain linking or smushing. He like smushes the sound, and you really get respect for his capacity to hear the differences in different sounds, because a lot of it you listen to two samples or two versions of a track, and you're like, I can sort of tell that there's some sort of difference, but you couldn't even begin to speak to how those two tracks are actually different, like what makes the difference. And the fact that the fact that he's trained to be able to tell the difference, to create the difference, to expand the difference, or to diminish the difference, I think is extraordinary. So definitely, if you have time, for now it is at 3:00 every Wednesday Eastern Daylight Time. I believe it's turning into savings time in 2 weeks. If you have a chance, go watch Kenny's show because it's really cool. Hi everyone. Kat says hello, Prince. Prince is, of course, the name of my dog, who you may have heard in the background briefly, but he seems to have settled down. One assumes he got whatever he was barking about. He got the thing he wanted. So let's do some body horror jokes. I'll just say right off that not every joke I write tonight will be body horror jokes. It's really hard for me to stick with one theme consistently. I will bounce off these jokes and find jokes outside the theme. This is just sort of a way to a gentle, caressing touch that gently focuses the way that a shore focuses a river. Butts Little Butt says, ugh, if there ever was a time to not switch clocks, that's a whole other thing. I haven't really minded it. Well, of course I mind it when it gets dark at 3:00 in the afternoon. It's really been annoying because I just have to post EDT constantly because I'm constantly advertising Twitch shows, and then I see EST and I'm like, I don't think that's right, but it's basically right, on like other people's graphics or images, and I don't want to be the kind of person who's like, you need to change this because it's not true yet. I don't want to be like that kind of producer, but it just like, I'm like, ugh, it doesn't match. I'm the one who does that. Yeah, I tell Matt to do it. When it's a showrunner, I might not bring it up because I'm just so thankful that they're on the channel. But I will bully Matt occasionally. Cool. Let's write some jokes, guys. Let's write some good tweets. It's I think this is as long as I've ever not written a joke in my show. Maya writes metric imperial GMT ED/ST. Hello, Peruli. Cool. Let's do some body horror jokes. So, one thing that's fun is just thinking about all the ways the body is weird. I think about how weird the body is all the time. I recently wrote like a uvula. I've had some uvula tweets. The uvula is for me arguably the weirdest part of the body. It's the only part of the body that does that. I feel like it's so remarkably. I guess it's like the body. The body looks more like the uvula, I think, once you get inside the body. The uvula is sort of the prologue to the inside of the body. It's the first hint that the inside of your body is remarkably different than the outside. If you think of the papilla, I think I love the word papillae. I think that's probably the first word you learn in school. That's AE maybe, as a plural of the small intestine. And always thinking of it as, for me, it was always like a coral reef. The pictures always looked like undersea animals. Monster House. I've never seen Monster House. I was thinking of watching Paranorman because it just came on Netflix, or it's been on Netflix, but it's the first time I saw it. I always had to bring up Paranorman. The reason I think of Paranorman briefly sometimes is because I used to be a Salem tour guide, and Paranorman has certain scenes that are animated to look like certain sections of Salem. So you would say, sort of as a way of justifying why someone has come to Salem, that you can see the house that you're looking at in the movie Paranorman. Obviously, Paranorman is an animated film, so it's not like they shot on location, but it's still a fun piece of trivia. I just watched Hubie Halloween, which occurs in Salem. Great, those poor tour guides. I really feel bad for the tour guides this year because people are still coming, even though it's very dangerous. But that is another. If Hubie Halloween takes place in Salem, then that's another place for them to mention. Spitting absolute facts about how the inside of the body looks different from the outside of the body. Great stuff. Thank you, Peruli. I am nothing but a font of endless wisdom. You explain it, so sometimes it's hard to. You're literally just talking for an hour, and sometimes I'm like, God, Rachel, why can't you be more insightful? So let's do some jokes. Papilla are the coral reef of the stomach. I know this because recently, due to my poor environmental policies, mine have died, and I can no longer process anything rougher than a single Cheerio. Thank you, Buttslow Butts. People have often mentioned to me that this show has an ASMR quality. That was never honestly my intention. What happens is that the microphone is closer to the keyboard than I might have intended, but that's just something that's true now. No one has complained, so I assume it's fine. Maya says, Rachel, do you ever think about how the human body is essentially an elongated donut or bagel, harder flesh wrapped in softer flesh, and a hole running through the middle from top to bottom? Oh, thank you, Puff Pfeiffer. Yeah, I guess for me, the body, there's so much going on in the body. that for me, that particular comparison seems to be reductive. I know it. I know the intention is to be comically reductive, but for me, it lacks the truth of a clean joke. Let's see. Cool. So we're just gonna go post this. Papilla are the coral reef of the stomach. I know this because recently, due to my poor environmental policies, mine have died, and I can no longer process anything rougher than a single Cheerio. Now, for the part where I second guess all my choices, a normal part, I must emphasize, of the joke writing process. You worry, for example, that people might not know the word papillae. It might not strike them immediately. They may have to think about what papillae are before they remember, in which case the joke hits them less strongly. You think, oh, is the word died the word I have looked for? Am I looking for? Oh, mine have become bleached, I think is what has happened. Death and bleaching. Bleaching is sort of the specific form of death. I believe that the coral reef has undergone for the most part. So papillae are the coral reef of the stomach. I know this because recently, due to my poor environmental policies, mine have become bleached. That is why I can no longer process, no longer digest, is a more specific word, anything rougher, any food rougher than a single Cheerio. And then you must say, they'll either know what papillae are sufficiently quickly, or they won't. And at this point is when I press the tweet button. Hello, kids. Great to see you. Pearly asks, what happens if you eat 2 Cheerios? Just out of curiosity, you will immediately. I think I would probably cause maybe like a laceration, some sort of internal bleeding, something horrific, sufficiently horrific to make that the metric. Kenny says, it's like Finding Nemo meets Osmosis Jones. Oh, man. Osmosis Jones, am I right? What a weird movie. Pearly says, I like the click-clacky sounds. I'm really glad people like the click-clacky sounds because I don't know exactly how to make them go away. Let's do another one. So that's a little bit of body horror, just kind of getting into it, thinking about how weird the body is. Again, very roughly, very broadly under the metric in my mind of quote unquote Halloween humor, because it all resides within the realm of body horror. Let's do some more. Teeth, I think, are very, teeth are sort of well known as kind of a horrific element of the body. I think there is a movie where there's like a guy covered in teeth. Obviously, there's vagina dentata. Vagina dentata are actually very funny. I might write a vagina. I haven't written a vagina dentata joke in a while, and I think that jokes have like certain topics or subjects have like a cyclical element where there might be in May everyone decides that they're going to make jokes about a certain topic that may or may not have resonances or associations with, current events. Maybe maybe someone from The Bachelor says, "You're such a bitch. I bet you have vagina dentata down there." And thanks to Megan M, we are but slaves to the moment, and therefore the next 3 weeks are just all vagina dentata jokes, and that's how humor works in the popular conscience. Pearly says, fun fact, I had a front row of teeth as a child because my baby teeth didn't fall out before the new ones started growing in. It was okay. A shark also have multiple rows of teeth. Oh man, you have to assume vagina dentata on a shark really goes hard. I'm laughing. I would say I don't tend to laugh at my own jokes as I'm writing. So this one I feel pretty good about by the process of the fact that I'm can the sentence be longer? No, it can't. That I'm already laughing at it. Man, you have to assume vagina dentata on a shark goes really goes hard. It's a pretty good one. Let's see. Yeah. So other things that are weird about bodies, feet are always fetishized. Feet fetish. It's almost hard to think about feet for me now outside of like the fetish aspect. That actually might be enough for a premise. It's hard for me to think of feet outside the fetish category. Let's see. It's hard for me to think of feet outside the fetish category. One time I looked down at my toes and felt shame. Like a Catholic student finding a Sears catalog in the woods. This one's very silly. I feel like Sears catalog is kind of the go-to for a blandly sexual, like the most bland version of a fodder for a sexual awakening. And then Catholic school just is there for this idea that this child is not any child, but a particularly sexually repressed one. So these are just sometimes I realize I don't explain all my thinking. I just kind of throw the joke out there and it's like, oh, this is funny. And for me, there are a lot of because I think about comedy all the time, because I watch comedy or read comedy a lot, I often sort of have these automatic benchmarks in mind that I just kind of throw out there. I'm like, oh, I need a sexually repressed youth. What signals sexual repression? Oh, of course they're Catholic. Of course that works. Alice says, to be honest, would work without the first sentence too. Yeah. One time I looked down at my toes and felt shame, like a Catholic student finding a Sears catalog in the woods. I would contend that you do need the context. Without the first sentence, the second sentence sort of teeters on the edge of being a non sequitur. You're like, why would I feel shame? But it's hard for me to think of feet outside the fetish category. One time I looked down at my toes and felt shame, let's make it intense. Felt intense shame. Usually, there's always the question of how much you want to modify a joke. And for this one, I think that really highlighting the intensity of shame makes it funnier. Sometimes you do get too wordy. I get too wordy all the time. But in this case, it feels fine. It's you feel it out a lot of the time. So it's hard for me to think of feet outside the fetish, outside their role as fetish objects. Yeah, sometimes I'm writing a joke and I'm like, that sounds more like me describing a joke than me telling a joke. Using the word category, I'm like, that is a placeholder for like the real verbiage. It's hard for me to think of feet outside the role as fetish objects. One time I looked down at my toes and felt intense shame, like a Catholic student finding a Sears catalog in the woods. Cool, so that feels done. Peruli says, shared the tweet about vagina dentata in my group chat. The people are loving it. Oh, thank you, Peruli. I love you. Alice Nerd says, fucked up that you walk on those things, lewd. Yeah. Cool. Oh, thank you guys. I swear I don't mean to spend more time than necessary looking at the notifications during the show. I try not to do that because it's like as self-indulgent as this show is, I think that checking my notifications during the show takes it to a whole new level. Just a second. I do need my charger. I'm trying to think. Matt, would you be okay? Would you be okay taking over the show briefly? I just need my charger. My phone is about to die, and I do need my phone to look.
Sure. Would you like me to write some tweets?
Great. So Matt's going to write some tweets. I'm going to be right back.
I don't have. Yeah, go get your charger.
Thank
Hi,
you.
everybody. This is a Matt takeover. So I have no access to Rachel's Google Drive, so I cannot actually write tweets. Yes, this is this is as wild as Matt gets. I look like I'm some sort of kidnap victim at this point, because I don't have my green screen on. This is my I'm running shows look. So how's everybody doing out there? I have not seen Hubie Halloween. I have a thing where I don't watch any Adam Sandler movies past Big Daddy, I think, or unless Little Nicky happened after Big Daddy.
Matt, I'm back.
Sure. Well, now I'm in a discussion with the chat, so you're just gonna have to wait, Rachel.
Okay.
I'm kidding. It's your show. Everyone, Rachel's back, and I'll have a whole nother show about my opinions on Adam Sandler movies.
Of course.
It'll be a weekly thing that will happen right after Rachel's show.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Is your charger all set?
Yeah, now I'm just trying to figure out how to hold my phone so I can see my comments
We got to get you a second monitor.
I definitely need a second monitor. Cool. I think I'm back.
Okay.
Thank you guys. Thank you for staying with us. Matt's really great at holding the fort down. He's not just a tech; he's also his own show host in his own right. If you've ever seen Hello World, on Monday mornings at 9:30 Eastern, soon to be daylight time, soon to be savings time. He and Chloe Zwiker host a wonderful Monday morning show, the perfect way of waking up in the morning. I don't mean for my voice to sound robotic when I'm explicitly selling a good or service, but it does sometimes happen. Matt's taking his revenge on me in the comments. EST. Anyway, back to work, guys. Matt's like, finally, she got it wrong for once. She doesn't know what kind of time it is. Here's the thing. We are used to live theater. We are used to promoting theater with the expectation that the person who watches our shows will be in the same time zone. Now that we're online, I'm like, guys, we have to put what kind of time it is, because people in anywhere in the world could be watching. Are they? Mostly not, but they could be, and that's the point. So to go back to work, let's go back to work. More things about the body, more body horror. I'll explain the concept of time to Matt later. Matt, we'll take the concept of time offline, all right? I think that's probably for the best. Get back to work. Matt is loopy. This is probably his 8th hour teching today. We've had a lot of show already. Dr. Love Truffle says, that's the line of thinking that had me answering the question, how old are you with when? If you're wondering about my age, I am 33. Don't look at the notifications. Rachel, that's indulgent. Let's keep going for jokes. Cool. So we did some teeth. One way to think about how to write jokes is just like, what have we already covered? So we covered papillae, we covered teeth, we covered feet. Cool. So let's just say papillae. What a category. What a series of things have we covered today? Papillae, teeth, and feet. So what else is there? What's cool about writing jokes about body humor, you can literally like look down at yourself and like, what haven't I made a joke about yet? So fingers are fun. Thumbs. I love that thumbs are not fingers. I think they're categorically not considered fingers. Oh, hey, Alex. I'm like, every time I think about thumbs and how they're not fingers, it makes me briefly think, oh, I should look up what makes them not fingers. I should like find out what drives them outside that category, but I never do. It's just a known. Cool. Let's also do eyeballs. Eyeballs are fun. eyeballs obviously are very funny. I wrote a tweet recently that was like, just once I'd love for someone to pop my eyeballs out and then stick them back in. Like the that is being playful with the concept of how they're attached to us. Eyeballs are fun because there's a sense that they should be like further in. There's a sense that they are very precarious. You're like, the surface of the eyeball is very sensitive. Shouldn't that just be entirely within the body if it's so freaking sensitive? It's like, again, like the uvula, the funny parts of the bodies are often the parts that sort of give an inkling of what lays inside. Matt just posted the difference between thumbs and fingers. Your thumb is different from fingers. Your fingers have 2 joints and 3 bones. A thumb only has 1 joint and 2 phalanges. Cool. So it has 1 less joint than is needed, and I swear this is all. We're gonna make a joke about this right now. One item on my bucket list: going to the surgeon and demanding them add a joint and a phalange to my thumb, rendering it a finger at last. I don't care if the operation kills me. I just want my thumbs to finally live in the sun with their brothers. Maya said I'd rather have 10 thumbs than 10 fingers. Man, that's a fun idea. So let me read this over. I always like to read these over, even though, as been pointed out to me, I try to read them over because they're often like missing words, or there's like part of the grammar doesn't make any sense, and I'll often miss those like flaws, or I'll often miss those errors even while reading it out loud. Like sometimes when I read out loud, I read the joke as it exists in my mind and not on the screen. So I'll try to read it word for word from the screen without making assumptions. 1 item on my bucket list: going to the surgeon and demanding they add a joint and a phalange to each thumb, rendering them fingers. At last. I don't care if this operation kills me. I simply, again, you can kind of get into a internal battle over word choice all day. Most words are often very similar. Is simply or just the best word to be here? It's a question both smaller and greater than the imagination can address. Maya says simply is a funnier word than just. Simply does have that sort of slightly higher status feeling, like a more uppity, more bourgeois person might use it. So for that reason, it's funnier. I simply want my thumbs to finally live in finally live in the sun with their brothers. It's finally live with their brothers in the sun. Because both parts of the phrase are funny and could feasibly be the punchline, but I do like "in the sun" as a final phrase. So 1 item on my bucket list: going to the surgeon and demanding they add a joint and phalange to each thumb, rendering them fingers at last. I don't care if the operation kills me. I simply want my thumbs to finally live with their brothers in the sun. So that one feels pretty good. Cool. Going back to the chat. How are you guys doing? I vote for just 2020. It was funny. I saw Alex's, AJ's comments on the corner of my mind, and I'm like, I'm not sure what they're about, but then I read them in order, and I'm like, oh, I see the joke we're making. Maya says, but just has its place as a humble yet excellent conjunction. Dr. Love Trouble writes, I'm in the tank for simply, but that's because just haunts my writing and I always have to cut it out. Just does haunt my writing as well, Dr. Love Truffle. You don't have to worry about being alone in that at all. My tweets are full of the word just. For me, if I were being stalked and subsequently killed by Freddy Krueger, it would probably be by somehow a physical manifestation of the word just. I use just far too often. Cool, let's do another one. Ears are weird. Ears are weird because one thing I like about ears is that I feel like most animals have them, but the size of them varies tremendously. Sometimes ears are not even visible on the animal's form. Like, I don't think that otters or prairie dogs have like an external ear. They have like holes, but then like fucking elephants have these fucking canopies. It's like, who's making these choices? And to my knowledge, do not know if elephants can hear that much better than prairie dogs. My sense of animals is that they all can hear well. That our ears are kind of like the loser ear of the bunch. Like Burley says, elephants are snoops. Yeah, I mean, what's really cool about elephants are the trunks. Elephants have excellent hearing. I'm sure they do, Maya. I'm sure elephants can hear well. My point is that hearing well does not seem to be something that any animal in the wild has trouble with. My sense is that every animal can hear 100 times better than us, and I'm unclear on the distinctions between the animals. Human beings have the worst ears. They are neither small triangles sitting atop our heads like the most endearing of pets. That's true. Moles are deaf. But they're like famously deaf. Like when an animal is deaf, like we all know about it. Like I've never met a mole, but we're like, oh, of course moles are deaf. We all know that because it's weird for animals to not hear. I feel like I'm speaking very like emphatically, like I'm upset by the subject. No. Human beings have the worst ears. They are neither small triangles. There's neither furred. Furred is always, I think, at a certain point in time, I decided furred was funnier than furry. Furry also has like all these weird connotations where you're like looking for the word. One thing I try to do in joke writing is you're looking for the word that means exactly what you want, which both means being specific and also avoiding words that have like a lot of associated meanings. Like only use words that have double meanings if that's what your intention is. So furry, there's obviously a lot of like associations with it, so you might avoid it if there's another word. I actually don't know if furred. I think furred is a word. It's not getting the underline. But the point is that it's both specific and doesn't promote or manifest the associations that the word furry does. So human beings have the worst ears. They are neither furred triangles sitting attractively, sort of posed attractively on one's head, nor are they mighty gray. You want to use the E form of gray because it's more pretentious. When you're writing jokes, it helps use elevated language so the joke lands better. They're neither furred triangles posed attractively on one's head, nor are they mighty gray canopies, nor are they hidden, secreted hollows, avoiding that what happens when you like that outrun the eye. They are stupid, swirly nerds. Yeah, that they outstealth the eye. They avoid the eye. They outrun the eye is fun because it's very poetic sounding. Sometimes you can sound more poetic simply by dint of not being able to remember the word you're thinking of. Word retrieval is a problem that runs throughout my whole family. My mom's like, "Oh, you're just like your father. You have the worst word retrieval." My mother is a speech therapist, or was. She's retired. The reason she went into speech therapy is because I couldn't talk until I was 3 years old, and that our journey with that problem inspired her. She had not had like a clear career path until that period. Maya says, "Elude the eye" is good. I like elude the eye. Thank you, Alex. Maya says, girlfriend and I were in a prolonged debate about if the human hair has anything that could be called a crack. It's not. It's like, it's very weird. It's like this. It's a swirl. It's just a weird swirl. Stupid. One of my favorite parts about writing jokes is forming emotional responses. Like, I've never gotten mad at the shape or contours of an ear before this moment, but it's just fun. It's cathartic, arguably, to discover or invent strong emotional attachments to things that that you don't generally have, because it's fun and it's novel. It's hard to be angry at the same things all the time. It's more fun to be mad at things that you are not always mad at, I think. So that's one thing I like about joke writing. Human beings have the worst ears. They are neither furred triangles posed attractively on one's head, nor mighty gray canopies, nor are they hidden secreted hollows that elude the eye. They are stupid, swirly nerds. That sounds good. There's probably a lot of times I'll be writing a joke and I'm like, I'm sure in the ether there exists a more effective means of wording this particular joke, and I must sort of address the fact that finding that will usually be unsuccessful and will usually take forever to be unsuccessful. Dr. Love Truffle writes, "Lol, it's cathartic to get enraged by new topics." Exactly. Maya writes, "Okay, real funny. Who catharted?" It's just hard. It's hard to live where you're like, I'm so mad at Trump, or I'm so mad at, shit libs, if you're that category of person, or I'm so mad at, people who do dumb things, who make bad choices, or who enable bad choices. There's like a lot of tedious things that you can just be mad at all the time. And I like finding, through the power of joking, things like funny new things to think about. Cool. Like what else can we do? Legs are fun. Legs are arguably, like, I feel like we all, it's not that they're like the sexiest part of the body that's not explicitly like sex oriented. Like, obviously, like tits, butts, junk are all like, we're like, oh, those are the sexy parts. But like legs are the part that's like, they're like the PG-13 part of the body. We're like, not explicitly sexy, but yeah, like everyone's like, joke, legs are fine. There's nothing repulsive about legs. That's true. Maya does bring up that knees can look weird. Knees can look like they have faces under the skin. That is very, very evocative. Legs without knees, arguably, knees ruin the perfect length, the perfect longitude of human leg. Straightforward, tapered flesh surrenders to grandmother trapped inside a tree. This got really, really weird. But that's what makes it horror, body horror. So yeah, I'm taking Maya's idea that it's a face under the skin and like just making it like the grandmother. It's older, it's gnarlier, it's feminine. Which, you know, we all have different ideas of what feminine is, but it has like a poetic feminism, of femininity to it. Trapped inside a tree. That's funny because the idea of being trapped inside a tree, I think, is very. Well, it's like it renders the leg a tree, and there's just like a lot going on. For me, I do enjoy jokes that have a lot going on. It's just sometimes it's fun occasionally to see a joke, skip across my timeline where you're like, wow, this one's a thinker. This one's a sit down, put your head in your hands kind of joke. Like when it's a thinker, it's like it makes you look like Rodin's the thinker. Arguably, yeah, I don't know if this needs any more. I don't know if this needs any more spice to it. Cool. Arguably, knees ruin the perfect longitude of the human leg. Straightforward, tapered flesh surrenders to a grandmother trapped inside a tree. I actually do think it needs a third sentence. Let me think. All I can think about is how much I miss my Nana in what's a Florida? My Nana in Miami. Her. I think I just got a big. My phone is like, I know that you are actively streaming right now, but don't you want to watch the guys from Chapo play Dunescape? I'm like, I don't know, phone. I think I have other things I'm doing at this moment. Arguably, knees ruin the perfect longitude of the human leg. Straightforward, tapered flesh surrenders to a grandmother trapped inside a tree. All I can think about is how much I miss Nana in Miami. Is Miami like the old person? I'm just going to do a quick. Where are the old people in Florida? I wish I could remember. My grandparents used to live in Florida and then they passed. I can't remember like the city. So here it is. Naples, Vero Beach. Vero Beach is good. Because like Naples, you're like, I have to specify it's Florida. Bradenton, I've never heard of. But Vero Beach is good because it's sort of it suggests Florida, whether or not you've heard of it. So I like that. Although now I'm like, the second I put it down, I'm like, I don't know. Fort Myers, Boca Raton, yes. Boca Raton is that's like a. You like hear Boca Raton, you're like, old people, Florida. That's like it does the work you're looking for the words to do. Thank you, Dr. Love Truffles. Fort Myers is a good second pick. Second place. Cool. So we're gonna post that. I know that like joking about old elderly people, or like not joking about them, but having them play a presence in your jokes. I feel like it's like sadder now because there's a lot of things that are like sadder from as a consequence of COVID that's not directly about COVID. You're like, now like when you think about like the elderly communities, you think of like, oh no, like are people safe in a way that you didn't think about that before. So now there's just sort of this tension. You're like, can I even make these references without kind of conjuring these images or conjuring these concerns? And it's kind of tricky. You just have to kind of play it by ear, I think. Maya writes, oh, Dr. Love Truffle, don't be ashamed about living in Florida. Maya writes, when I was a kid, I had a hand-me-down shirt that said Boca Raton on it, and every time I wore it, my dad called me senior citizen. Maya says, at the time it stung, but a pretty good bit in retrospect. Growing older is strange. I just watched Glory. It's on Netflix. Netflix is my only streaming service right now. I had Crunchyroll and Hulu, but I let those. I always like lose my debit card, and then I have to like put in the information again, and then I'm like, ugh. There's enough to watch on Netflix. I think it's kind of hard to always convey how profoundly lazy I am in certain respects to being alive. So I watched Glory, and you watch like all these young men die, and you're like, wow, none of them will ever get to know. What a segue! None of them will ever get to know, the pleasures and the privilege and the horrors of growing older. That's kind of what you think of. Andre Braugher and Denzel, and you think of like the last image in that movie is like a steady shot of Matthew Broderick's corpse being put into the mass grave. His parents did not want to move him from the mass grave. I just read about that. He's like, they're like, we can think of no better bodyguards for our son than his regiment, which I thought was very sweet. It's not very off topic. Just something rattling in my head. It's all part of the process, even the thoughts that don't seem immediately to be relevant. It's fun to get those out there. What's cool about tweets is that everything is potentially fodder and everything is potentially immediately relevant because tweets can be about different things. You can write a joke about Glory. I'm not sure what the joke would be about Glory. It's a very, very well done film. Yeah, there's something. Yeah, you're like, I'd have to like really. Dr. Love Truffle says Twitter is my favorite hellscape. Yeah. Well, I was like talking to my friend about Hamilton, and I haven't seen it. I think they've seen it. They hold it in high regard. I'm like, on Twitter, Hamilton is not very well regarded. People make a lot of fun of it. And my friend was like, I hate the people on Twitter who kind of like shit on things because they saw like a blurb or this kind of like received wisdom. Where like we all just decided something sucks and now we're all gonna make fun of it. And some people have, opinions that are based in sort of like work they have done. Broadway bros, yeah. Like the work they've done to form their own opinion, and some people are just like, oh, everyone hates Hamilton, I must hate Hamilton too, which is a good point. Again, I've never seen Hamilton. I don't own Disney Plus. Buttsel Butt says, FB Hamilton versus Twitter Hamilton, such a divide. I know. It's funny how you'll go on Facebook and it's like you can assume everyone likes Hamilton. And Tumblr ate Hamilton up, and then Twitter's like, no, the line is here. We're drawing the line. Hamilton sucks. And again, cannot emphasize enough. I have not seen it. I have not done the work to form my own opinion. It is fun to make fun of Lin-Manuel Miranda because that one photo of him looks very silly. And his family does seem shady. But again, I don't know enough. Dr. Love Truffle says, I can't imagine I would like it. That's also true. It's for me, it's hard to imagine. Let's do some more jokes. Eyelids. Yeah, I'm like talking about these things while in the back of my mind, I'm like, Rachel, I don't think you have anything in, the barrel for these. It would be one thing about talking about Hamilton if you're like, the process of talking about Hamilton is leading me to a joke that I sort of feel under my skin. I'm like, there's a inchoate, tweet that I can feel sort of emerging from the ooze, the primordial ooze of where jokes come from, but I can't actually feel that right now. So I know that this is more sort of just nattering on for its own sake. Alex says more body parts should have lids. I like that. I actually really like that. Do you ever think other body parts are jealous of eyes for having lids? Like, damn, I wish I could take the night off. And also moments throughout the day and just hide behind my little skin blankets. Dr. Love Truffle says the energy in here tonight is great. I for whatever reason, I feel like more people are watching this stream tonight than on other nights. I don't know if it's because I have more followers tonight than I've had on other nights. But I really do appreciate everyone who's here. I do really appreciate everyone who's like contributing to the chat and like watching and listening to me natter on about my process. This is something I do for fun and something I do for the channel. And I just really am grateful for anyone who finds joy and reward in this endeavor. Pfeiffer says, big Twitch bump from the death of Quibi. Maya says, skin blankets make me shudder. I mean, that's what they fucking are, Maya. Eyelids are just little skin blankets that go on and off, on and off, on and off. Do you ever think other body parts are jealous of eyes for having lids? Like, damn, wish I could take the night off, and also moments throughout the day. It would be cool if I could just hide behind my little skin blankets when I felt like it. When there was dust. Wonder if eyes even know how much they are resented. I bet not. Those coddled idiots. Pruly says, can't even go a minute without needing a skin blanket nap. I know, right? They're just like just stupid babies. They're like the stupid babies of the face. Cool. So this happens occasionally. You let yourself kind of fuck around and find out. And in this case, I have found out. Twitter's like, too long, motherfucker. So let's see if we can condense this a little bit. Do you ever think other body parts are jealous of eyes for having lids? Like, damn, wish I could take the night off, and also moments throughout the day. Would be cool if I could hide behind my little. I could hide behind little blankets of skin when I felt like it. Or do they love them like eyes are the babies? This is, you're like, oh, they're like little stupid babies, but then you're like, oh, maybe they're the babies. Maybe people all like, maybe they like are all fond of the eyes as like the babes of the body. Do you think other body parts are jealous of eyes for having lids? Like, damn, wish I could take the night off. And also moments throughout the day would be cool if I could just if I get rid of that just almost done. I'm behind little blankets of skin. Hide blankets of skin when I felt like it. Or do they love them? Maybe eyes are the babies. But Slowbutt says eyelids are eyeball Bjorns. Maya says the babies are the windows to the soul. Pruli says they stay the same size as when you're born, so in that way they are like the infants of the face. Guys, stuff to think about. It is funny how like babies don't have big eyes. We just have grown our faces around our eyes. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna grow my face so it's bigger and my eyes are gonna appear to shrink, but that's not what's happening. Let's see what else. I always promise myself I'm not going to read the notifications. This is a particularly, let's say this is a good time to take a brief break because I do want to talk briefly about our partnership with a business that is sponsoring us. Everyone's just like, oh no, have they sold out? Has Rachel and company sold out? Listen, everyone likes to make a couple dollars. They do want to make a couple of dollars. People of strong repute would like to make dollars in a way that feels right and that feels like valuable. So the reason we have chosen this partnership is because we believe in the mission of this group. I'm going to just show you for a second. I'm going to show you the website. So 3 Weeks Courses is our partner, and one thing we love about them is that a lot of their instructors are also performers on our channel. You can see Kaylee in the 69 Minutes of Sex with Me show, as well as Nights of Prospect. You can see Gwen on Great Baking Bash every third Sunday at 3 p.m. Soon to be ST. You can see John in Nights of Prospect. Tim's not. Oh, look at that. Kenny Gray making music with Kenny every Wednesday, currently at 3 p.m. Wednesdays, soon to be AST, and then of course Chloe co-hosts Hello World every Monday at 9:30. And so the reason we partnered with them is because we really believe in their mission. 3 Weeks Courses. They're basically providing opportunities to take a course in something that's interesting and inspiring for exactly 3 weeks so you can commit to it. They're like, more than 3 weeks. People are traumatized. They're distracted. No one can commit to anything. It's the end of the world. So the 3 week course is just a perfect amount of time. This guy was in Hamilton. If that is cool for you, if you are from Facebook, he's in Hamilton. If you're not from Facebook, he's just an excellent playwright. Basically when you're checking out from the drop down menu, just say that you heard about them from us, and we do get a couple bucks for the channel, just to be completely transparent. But it's a great mission. We really believe in keeping people sort of engaged and finding rewarding experiences for people, even though we live in the end times. There's still cool things to learn and cool things to focus on. And if you feel like uncreative or unfulfilled, this is kind of a cool way to like sync up with some people about an interesting interest or field, just for not a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, exactly 3. That's my plug. Not only are you helping give money to the channel, you're also giving money to the instructors who are members of the larger channel community, and you're also helping yourself. So go get them and prove to everyone that that this was a good idea that I had, and and it's just a good idea in general. Look at all those cool folks. Yes, I agree. They're very cool. Rosna, you may have seen her on the left, was when it was in. Let me go back to her. She was. Sorry, I know everyone's like, where are the tweets? But this is also important. I swear to God, this is something I am actually passionate about, and I'm very passionate about a few things. So Rosna is excellent. She helps give like career advice to like help think about your career and what you actually want to do with your life, as opposed to just going from job to job to job like a frog jumping on a lily pad. She's like, okay, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? So that's what her course is in. I know Rosna. We met in 301 of an improv class in Improv Asylum in Boston. And she's wonderful. She's lovely. I knew her as a member of the touring company, and as like a level 2 improv teacher. And she was on my indie team, Russian for Elephant, and was on a bunch of projects. And she's really cool. I really love her, and she will help you with your career if that is something that you would like to spend 3 weeks thinking about and working on. So that's just I could spend the rest of this stream just going through everyone I know. I think I know everyone teaching except for like one person, and just talk about how lovely and wonderful they are, because they all are. Because this stuff, because honestly, to be frank, one positive about this plague is that you get to work with who you want to work with. You get to do shows with the people you want to do shows with. You can leave the people you don't really like, but have had to work with for various scenarios you weren't totally in control of. You can leave those people on read. So everyone on 3 courses is lovely, and we all love all of them. So and that's just a privilege you get when you are starting your business from scratch and you are starting partnerships from no partnerships. So go to 3weeks.courses, choose a class, have fun 3 weeks, and tell them that we sent you. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's write a few more jokes. I'm gonna look at the streaming the stream summary later, and it's like, oh, when you started to do an ad during the middle of your show, everyone just fucking left. That's like my worst nightmare. But hopefully I was engaging the whole time, and now I can do more jokes. We are like looking to be frank, again, like the producers of this channel, for me, speaking personally, I spend most of my time thinking about the channel or working on some bit of the channel, helping book or helping ideate for other people's shows. So considering how much time we spend in the channel, it would be cool if we could ever make any money from it. That's kind of like we're in that phase of like, how do we do that? Twitch is weird, and the world's on fire, and nobody wants to leave their house. So if we can figure it out, cool for us. So let's do a couple more jokes to round out this lovely evening. Again, thank you for spending time with me, with Matt, who you know is listening, and with each other. Thank you for populating the chat with your clever and lovely messages. I appreciate all of you. Did everyone leave? Some people did leave. I'm like, I'm not gonna check, and I did check, and some people left, and it's fine. Maya's like, hi, Rachel. Thank you, Maya. Let's do some more jokes. Elbows are weird. Elbows, are they the only body part that's also associated with pasta? Are the only body part associated with pasta? Someone came. Oh, Dr. Love Truffle, if you would hunt down the people who left during my spiel, I would really appreciate it. People are missing out on this sweet ass. The elbow content is sweet ass. Thank you. I agree, Polly. Peruli, sorry. Also, if you're enjoying this, I know this is the second plug. If you're enjoying this show, if you're enjoying this channel, please follow and subscribe. That's all we can ask besides you spending $75 on a course. Cool. Elbows are the only body part associated with pasta. Someone came up with the idea when they tried to lick their elbow, failed, and then then declared it their life's mission to taste elbow in defiance of God. Oh my god! Buttswell Butts, 5 emotes, shared rewards to 5 others in the chat. Lovely. Thank you, Buttswell Butts. What a sweetheart you are. Buttswell Butts is just a real angel, a real messenger of God. If you are religious or enjoy using God as a rhetorical strategy, which is more my deal. Let's see. This one feels pretty done. Elbows are the only body part associated with pasta. Elbows are the only body part that have inspired a pasta shape. That's because centuries ago, Sicilian. We're just going to invent a historical anecdote. That's because centuries ago, that's one of my favorite things to do. Just making up history, just making up facts. It's like, for me, it's always chef's kiss in terms of the foundation of a joke. It's just funny to think of things that could be true about the past. How are you going to prove it's not true? Go to the past and take me with you? Nobody can do that. Elbows are the only body part that have inspired a pasta shape. Centuries ago, that's because centuries ago, a Sicilian monk tried to lick their elbow, failed, and then declared it their life's mission to taste elbow in defiance of God. So they're a heretic. They fell out of God's favor the day they could not lick their elbow. My sense of like the Catholicism as a religion, as an institution, is very funny. It's just like, I know some. Pearly says my legs do look like penne regatta, but we'll let it slide for the joke. Penne regatta. That sounds like penne regatta sounds like a ship. What does penne regatta look like? Just a second. I'm on the trail of a good joke. Oh yeah, they're just like the one that's slanty. The human body is ravioli. It's true. Bodies are just ravioli. If you think about it. Giant about to eat me up. I climbed a beanstalk, which a real catastrophic mistake in retrospect. Bodies are just ravioli. If you think about it, the giant about to eat me up. I climbed a beanstalk. A catastrophic mistake. To catastrophic results. To what I am now registering are catastrophic results. Sometimes jokes just live and die in your willingness to be like loose and silly and funny with language. You're like, I don't know. Okay, Maya, I think you said that in the chat, and now you're taking this beef online. I see how it is. Bodies are just ravioli if you think about it. The giant about to eat me up. I climbed a beanstalk to what I'm now registering are catastrophic results. Like, this isn't really a joke, except insofar as the language I'm using is just very like formal, considering the sort of viscerally dangerous circumstances. And to me, it's always funny when people can't stop speaking in a particular way. regardless of kind of where they are. So for me, that's fun. I don't know. Every time I write a joke and post it, I never know. I'm like, my assumption going into each of these sessions is that some number of these jokes will, hit people the correct way or the intended way, that a certain number of them will be at least sort of marginally successful. By the term set in a small account, which is the 2MB Studios account, retweeted by my personal account, which is a big account. By those metrics, which are kind of complicated and nuanced, I assume some of these will be successful. I don't necessarily know which of these will be successful. I'm sort of like, you're kind of swinging again and again, and you know that you'll hit the ball. Eventually, you're like, you have a batting average, but you never know exactly which at bat will get you that homer. I'm sure I mixed metaphors and desecrated the idea of baseball there, but you get it. Peruli says, thinking about my Twitter friend who has a giantess kink and would probably be aroused by this tweet. Yes, I have had people reply to my tweets with like, that's just vor, Rachel, and I'm like, sorry, that an entire category of very funny ideas are all now fetish. It's like everything's a fetish. We get it. You're gonna go jerk one off to this joke. That's fine. This is between you and your several gods. Alex writes, bodies are just ravioli also sounds like something a cannibal would say in their own defense. That's also true. Cannibals always remind me of that Kids in the Hall sketch where they make fun of the plane crash. But like Dave Foley's character is like on the stand, and the lawyer is like, you don't even like wait to eat them. Like he started eating them immediately. Which is like a very funny, that's like one of my, I don't want to say it's one of my favorite sketches because it doesn't have Scott in it, but it's like definitely one that always amuses me on reflection. Here 2MB, we are polytheists. That's a great sketch. Love Kith and that sketch. I adore Kith. I do worry that kids aren't watching Kith. Because I think that Kith is really good. Obviously, sometimes I think about Kith without Scott in it, like how like if like because I know Scott like encouraged the guys to like wear dresses, and I feel like the whole show is like explores like queer issues and queer subjects in a way that I don't think it would without him. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I wonder if I would love this troupe as much if Scott weren't in it. But ultimately, it is its members. So and everyone's still plenty funny. Peruli says, I've never seen it. Well, good news, Peruli, is that I believe almost every sketch, to my knowledge, is on YouTube. That's how I first watched Kids in the Hall before buying the DVDs. I did repent for my crimes. Is I just looked up Kiss sketches, and I just watched every YouTube sketch I could find until I ran out. That's how I watched it. Dr. Love Trouble says, I love him showing up to one of their stage shows with a bunch of wigs, and that was that he was in. He knew he was supposed to be in that troupe, and I love that. I love it when people know the truth, their destiny, what should happen, what will happen, same thing. I love that shit. I love destiny. Cool. So we should wrap up because this is inching toward a 90-minute stream, which I know is not was not sort of the stated length of the show. Typically, it's usually closer to an hour. For me, for whatever reason, I feel giddy as a schoolgirl. I'm like, I could do this forever. But I also know that Matt has been teching streams since 4 o'clock. So I'll probably wrap it up relatively soon. I might write one more joke. Let's see if I can write one more joke. Didn't even feel like 90 minutes. Oh, thank you, Butts All Butts. That's very kind of you. Let's do one more. Just like one more for the road. One more for the road is a funny phrase. One more for the road. You're like, we're going to play you one more song for the road. Matt is the GOAT. He's the reason you can see and hear everything you can. He is the of the three like producers. Arthur does tech some, but to my knowledge, Ben and I don't tech anything. It's mostly Matt. Most of the time, it's Matt. So he's great, and you should definitely thank Matt in the comments. Dr. Love Truffle said one more for the road was about beer. My family might be full of alcoholics. I do think that it's absolutely possible and plausible that a phrase like one for the road is like its roots come from like alcohol behavior, alcoholic behavior. Again, a lot of joke writing is just about phrasing things weird, which luckily I'm always prepared and willing to do. Involuntarily, I do it. So kudos to me. Me on the road. That was a good joke Rachel made. Oh, thank you, Pearly. Cool. Let's do one more joke. Nostrils are funny. Mouths are funny. I'm gonna just like list body parts I haven't made fun of yet. Until I hit something I like. Pinkies. Pinkies are on the hand. Pinkies are on the hand because one time a monkey saw a what's the like the wine glass called? A tumbler. I think wine glass is probably sufficiently specific. Yeah, pinkies are the Ringo stars of the hand. Just fucking lucky to be there. I actually love that. Pinkies are the Ringo star of the hand. Fucking lucky to be there. I actually love that. Thank you, Alex. I basically stole your joke, so feel free to write reply. This is my joke, and we will say yes, it is. Actually, I'm just gonna say I'll do a reply where I'm like mostly Alex's joke. Cool. So I think it's good. This is probably a good time to wrap things up. I feel like if I did a minute more of the show, I would necessarily do like 5 more minutes of the show. So I'm happy to wrap it up now. And I'm just here to say, oh, thank you, Alex. Just want to say again, thank you. I so appreciate and I'm so grateful for you all staying late. It's 10:30 on a Wednesday night, and I know time has no meaning anymore, regardless of whether it's daylight or savings. That said, I do still feel like some of us have jobs that they may have to go do tomorrow, and to the extent that's still true, thank you for staying up late watching me stream. I am so grateful for your audience and for your enthusiasm, and this makes you being here makes this so much more fun. Cool. So I think that's all. We have great shows all week long. Stop by tomorrow. We have a great show called Quarantine Action Wrestling, which is a simulated video game action of wrestlers who have been designed to look like people's characters, who they then embody in short video clips. Their personas are wrestlers. Some of the top comedians in Boston are now pretending to be wrestlers for this show. It makes sense when you watch it if that summary did not suffice. But it's a lot of fun. Starts at 8. Feel free to join me there. I'll be watching. I watch like pretty much all the shows because I'm a producer. Thank you guys so much and have a wonderful rest of your week. Good night.